Welcome to another edition of Athletes Corner. And today we got two special guests with us. We got Lynn English High head coach Antonio Anderson, and we got Mr. Cory McCarthy from New Mission High. We are here to talk about the Urban Coaches Association that they formed during this pandemic, and we're gonna learn more about it. Fellas, how are you?
Very good. Good. Definitely good. I'm in Washington D.C. right now.
Are you out there in DC? Woo.
Yeah, I had to go see the new Black Lives Matter way. Connect with some folks and get with some thought leaders down here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's as usual, much like the work that we do, it's meaningful.
Yeah. Antonio just got into it a little bit about the Urban Coaches Association, about you guys forming it. Let's talk about the idea and then the plan that you guys the plan on how you guys put it together.
Well, as Jamal Griffin would say, sort of, Antonio and I have this idea of bridging the opportunity gap that kids have between being from basically poverty, right? Living in the city, most folks don't have enough. We're trying to provide that enough through we understand the value of coaches. You look at Antonio himself being in Lynn, and Antonio, he's very humble from a sense because he's really dedicated to Lynn. Like, Lynn's not losing this guy anytime soon. He has a goal and a vision, and we have the same vision for many cities across the country. It just so happens that right now we're serving a bunch of towns in the state and hopefully a lot more. But the goal is to really shorten that opportunity gap, fill it with dual enrollments for kids, fill it with community service learning, support them with mentors, player development as well, college preparatory work, service learning, getting them out to give back to the community. And also build a network that could help them be recruited and be recruitable. Sometimes, kids don't find out they're not recruitable until they're seniors. And at that point, they all want to go to the NBA. So, we're the ones that imagine, having to break a kid's heart and tell them, hey, you're not going pro. And you know what? It's safer for us to say it because the chances of them going pro is very little. If they do go pro, more power to them. So, that's our thing, and I'm grateful that I have these guys who are just dedicated, and we love it.
Yeah, Antonio, you've been, ever since you took over Lynn English, one of the things that you've been stressing to your players and the kids that come through your camp is the opportunity of college. So giving the younger players an idea of college, and the past 3 years majority of your players have gone on to college and have gone on to play. Just why was that so important for you? Everybody knows your history as far as playing basketball and going off to college, but why was that important for you? Just to
I think just from my experience myself, growing up in the inner city in Lynn, and just knowing the negative things that go on out there, and just seeing how happy I was when I was in Memphis. Man, I know people just see the basketball side of things, but I built so many friendships and relationships with people outside of basketball that will go a lifetime. And I think the people in Lynn and Massachusetts alone get kind of bottled up a little bit and just can't leave Massachusetts for some reason or whatever it is. So, when I was able to get the job at English, my whole mindset was, let me change the way these kids think a little bit. I started the study halls and the SAT preps with the kids, and, those things kind of started helping them. And the kids who didn't really want to buy into that part, I cut them. Honestly, I just want kids who want to do well. Like Cory was saying, man, you're not gonna go. You don't mean you got to go to the NBA or play D1 or be on ESPN, but you go play Division III ball. It's great basketball, great education at a lot of schools, and there's so much opportunity out there. And I think a lot of kids think because they're minorities starting off that they can't do it or they got a leg behind. I think that's why we wanted to join forces and make this happen, because we want them to see they're just equal as anybody else, no matter the race. And I think we kind of put out avenues to kind of let these kids be successful. And like I said, my players want them to understand the importance of social media. A lot of them are up there and they're putting up knucklehead stuff and things like that. And that's another thing too, man. I don't allow my players on Instagram and things like that during the season, and just to try to keep them focused. If they get on there, I follow them all. So if they go on there and I see anything, they run, or I sit them for a game or two. So, just try to set rules and expectations. And I think, me and Cory, all of us talk about all the time. If, kids can follow expectations, it makes things easier for them. And I think, we're setting out to, take things over, not just in Lynn or Boston, but like you said, around the country. And I think that's our goal, man. We're doing it because we love where we're from and love helping kids and want to see kids be successful.
Yeah. And Cory, for you, I was reading when you took over New Mission, when your first year, a couple of years there, they weren't academically, it wasn't good over there academically. And then you're on mute.
We were about to close down. They're about to shut down.
Yeah, the school's about to shut down. And as I look, you guys have catapulted, and you went from like 400 and something to what, 53 or something like that?
Yeah, we're 56 now. We're probably higher than when they took the data, but we're probably around 43.
Yeah.
And sort of the reason for that is sports. I just, we. 2007, we won a state champ. I was coaching girls. We won a state championship. Nobody knew who we were. I had 6 players on the team, and we're going against a team that has 2 scholarship players. Mm-hmm. Jackie McMullen from ESPN. She does a story on us, and all of a sudden, everybody wants to come. So now you want to come to? Do you want to come to a school with poor academics? No. So we had to step our game up. What we did is that we added advanced placement courses, and we said to everybody in the school if they could opt into those courses. And what that means is most schools, especially suburban schools, you have to get recommended to be in an AP class. So you have AP, regardless if you pass the AP exam or not, you have AP on your transcript. So, and you are used to that rigor and that sort of the concept. So a lot of times AP is harder than college. So now you have a prepared student going to college, and not to mention being an athlete. So not only might you be able to get a scholarship athletically, but they're going to respect your Division III level junior college resume and your acumen. So for me, it was just a no-brainer for us to do that and stay connected. And then fast forward years later, all the success. Now it's just great for me to sit in the behind the scenes and watch what Antonio's doing. Especially out in Lynn. I've always had a great deal of respect for them. I used to come out to Lynn all the time and play those folks all the time.
Mm-hmm. Can you two just talk about it? First, I'll get Antonio started, and then yours. Just, Antonio being from Lynn, you being from Boston, just the kids in each city, it's easy to get lost. It's easy to get distracted. And it's also, there's the naysayers, the people that, have a negative, they'll talk negatively about those kids and it kind of affect them. I mean, what have you guys done to give them hope and keep their spirits up? Because you are putting a lot of kids into college now. Antonio is getting kids into college. More and more kids are starting to believe in themselves and not getting lost in what happens. We all know what happens in the city, the good and the bad, some straight to the bad. But can you both just talk about the particulars in each city?
Well, I know for a fact Lynn is a little wild, but it ain't Boston. That's for sure. That's without a doubt about it. I think, like speaking from Lynn, you have the neighborhood dealers, you have the neighborhood, people that are hooked on drugs, you have the people who, who try to, take kids down that same path, man. I think, and it could be tough for some kids because that's what some of their family knows, their siblings or uncles or aunts. So, just trying to steer them in the right direction. I think the more you kind of sit and talk with kids, like with me, when after study halls, like twice a week, we just sit with, the freshman, JV, and varsity and just have an open communication. It could be, we could talk about, drugs or gambling or things like that, and just try to school them on those things a little bit. But like how some females can lure you in a little bit as well, and things like that. So I just try to, man, just continue to talk to them. I tell them all the time, my phone's always open no matter the hour. Call me, text me. And if I could, talk to you and kind of try to help you change your mind and not make those bad decisions, I did my job. I don't really care too much about, everybody loves winning, don't get me wrong, but I think the kids going to college is more important to me. And I think just trying to keep these kids away from what goes on a daily basis after school is the hardest thing, especially when basketball's not in, because you got to keep them engaged. And I think the kids that I have my first year they were already in a system where it was a little dysfunctional. And when I came and set my rules, some kids really didn't want. Some kids quit. Some kids just like, I'm not doing this. And for me, I'm like, let them go, man. Like, I'm not gonna chase you. And no knock on them, but two of those kids come to games now, and I wish I would listen. I wish you would have too. But I think my thing was some kids just want to chase what's going on in the streets, and kind of be cool. And I think they look at kids doing academics as like a nerd thing or a bad thing when it's not. Like these are the ones that's gonna be writing checks for you years down the road. Why not get in there and learn with them or let them help you? And I think that's a lot of kids' downfall in Lynn. And I'm just trying to change that dynamic a bit. And like speaking with Cory and those guys all the time and seeing how they operate and wanting to learn those things is only going to make the city of Lynn better, Lynn English better. And like that's what I'm striving for.
Cory?
So for me, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so, similar to Lynn, we have a lot of generational poverty in Boston. So the experiences are generally the same. I think the exposure to different levels of violence is still violence. So and like drugs and, but, poverty is trauma. So we all got kids that are experiencing that right now. So I think collectively, we're talking to the guys, especially UCA guys, like we just understand that we have to model our expectations. Mm-hmm. And we have to teach kids to make winning plays off the court. So like, it's not just everything we do. For me, modeling winning was being on time and doing everything I said I was going to do. So if I say that I don't want you at 2 o'clock practice, I want you there at 1:45. If you get there at 1:46, even though practice is at 2, I have to hold myself accountable to my word and say, hey, you can't practice today. So as it relates to off the court, like if you're not sitting where you're supposed to in class, or if you're not trying to build a relationship with your teachers or your teammates, you're not making a winning play. You're not doing winning things. So for us, it was just always about constantly making winning plays in life and bringing value to the lives of others. If you are someone who's negative and someone who doesn't, who's projecting their lack of confidence on somebody else, you're not making a winning play. You're not doing winning things. And it may not be your fault, but you need to listen and respect the accountability that we're trying to teach you in order to change that. And you know what? That's when winning becomes contagious. So I think the understanding that winning is just so much bigger than basketball, and it's going to college and it's listening, and and for us on our end, the sort of thing that works the best is just sort of those traveling with the teams. Antonio took his team out of state. I took my team out of state. It's the best time. Those car rides, those van rides, and just talking about life and us having the ability to model for the kids that where they want to be. College was the most exciting time of my life. I want every kid to have that experience. And for me, pushing kids to go to college is and working with kids in cities. We're trying to save their lives. It's life or death. I know so many kids who have died. I've had 4 former players die in the past 4 years. That's one every year, and it's because they either were not listening, or they were not connected, or I just failed to. I on my end just probably failed to consistently communicate, because I know I could have saved a couple of their lives. So, it's not a perfect system, but modeling for the kids and understanding what generational poverty could do to them and then having the presence enough to have them formulate the answers to sort of their underlying questions is just so important. And then they develop character from there, and they personalize their experience and understand that we're going on this journey together. It's not me telling you what to do all the time. I will start off telling you what to do. This whole basketball thing is a dictatorship in the beginning. It's not a democracy. The democracy happens off the court.
Yeah. All right. Now with the Urban Coaches Association, tell me how many people are involved in it, and just speak to me on the meetings you guys have. I know you guys just had a meeting. Just tell people some of the things that you guys discuss and some of the plans that you guys put together.
I mean, like, it's been one of the best experiences I've ever had. Bringing people together it always feels great, right? And expanding a network. And sometimes what we are providing families is things that people pay for, and they're getting it for free. Services that people pay for. Like first week we had Joe Jones from BU on, and he's a member. Anyone who shows up is a member. We've had over 120 different people come to our Zoom meetings. Detroit, Atlanta, Florida, New York, South Carolina. So then we made a shift and we said, okay, we want our students to understand that there's colleges for them, that for people who look like them. So the HBCUs have been on the past 3 weeks. HBCU head coaches, HBCU, and we're learning too. HBCUs got more. The HBCUs got more people playing in NBA than a lot of these major conferences. So and providing quality education, and for us, providing the opportunity to help coaches help their kids. We're not a program, and we say this all the time. We're not a standalone program. We are a collaborative program. So if you got something going, if Lynn Community TV is doing something, we're not going to say, hey, this is a UCA thing. No, we're going to support Lynn Community TV. We're not hosting an event. What we're doing is that we're collaborating. We're working with people who already invented their own wheels. Mm-hmm. And I think what makes that unique and exclusive to what we're trying to do is that there's no ego, there's no clout chasing, there's none of that. We want to make sure that we put coaches in position to help kids, because they have to be an extension of our vision, extension of our mission. Mm-hmm. And then we have at the top, actually there's no real top because nobody really has a position. Antonio's not going to say he's the guy. I'm not going to say I'm the guy either, even though I talk a whole lot. So what we're doing is having this ego-free space for mm-hmm. coaches to get better, so they could develop students, and while providing programming for kids as well, so we can sort of close that opportunity gap.
Antonio, can you just talk about, you guys got this network, and a lot of the people that are coming on is people that you guys have met through your time playing basketball, through coaching. Just talk about the importance of the networking and some of the connections that you guys have made in college and when you guys became coaches, and just going around speaking with people. Can you talk about that, Antonio?
It's life, man. I think it's the best part about coaching or being around basketball is you're gonna rub shoulders with everybody. Female coaches, male coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches, and then in our meetings, you're getting the best of everything. You're getting coaches who compete against one another, and we had one a week ago where the HBCU head coaches jumped on, and these guys are friendly as ever. Like there's no hate, no animosity towards anyone. The way they get along is teaching us a huge lesson. That's how we get along, but we know within our cities that we don't have that sort of camaraderie, man. I was a little bit jealous. They're representing the kids we have, and yet we're so thirsty to send them to other schools. Like, why aren't we doing this? It's not a knock on a predominantly white institutions. It's just us literally failing kids to provide them an opportunity to be in a space where they're represented. So sorry to cut you off. They were bigging one another up. They were bigging each other up, man. It was excuse me. There was so much love in that conversation, man. They speak on how you genuinely felt how much they cared about the university that they coached at. And for me, once we got off, I'm texting in our chat with Cory and the guys, and I'm like, oh, I got to send my players' film to these guys because you just felt like they cared about their players. And me, I played at Memphis. I love my college coach. Don't get me wrong. But you just got to, man, you have 2 or 3 bad games. Man, that door's revolving at Memphis, at Kentucky, at these schools that these kids really think they can play at. And you have 2 or 3 bad games. They're offering a scholarship to another wing the same night or the next day. Where when we hear these coaches speak on when they bring these kids in for 4 years, they have a plan. They have a plan for these kids to graduate. They have a plan. These guys are talking about 97, 98% graduation rates and things like that. And I was in school playing with guys who went to school for 4 years, didn't even graduate. And it's like, yo, you crazy. They're giving you a free education, but they're not really. Not all schools are hounding you to go to class. You don't have that discipline, you know what I mean? So I was just fortunate enough to have certain coaches push me and get me prepared for that. And I think that's what we're trying to do. Like Cory said earlier, that self-service. Like, you're going to know how to handle these things and be able to respond. And, man, just learning from these coaches is crazy because their philosophy, their mission, and the way they just believe in their players and like their schools and their programs and with each other, the way they were having a conversation, just they could tell each other's stories. Like, this coach started here, and I remember when he was here, and he deserved to be there because he did X, Y, Z. And like Cory said, like, it was no hate. It was everyone just so happy for each other, whether they're beating you or not. Like, you're just seeing how happy they were for one another as Black coaches, and that was a powerful thing to see.
Yeah, Coach. Last night we had Coach Ty Grace from Howard University, right? And we had Coach Lou from Norfolk State, and they're rivals. Norfolk State beat Howard, and you would never know. You would never know. And in that conversation between those 5 coaches, we covered every base. Okay, we covered how do you make players tougher because some of these players are soft. Let's just say what it is, right? The sports culture is soft now. We covered that. We covered the tough conversations how tough of what did they say to their players about George Floyd and racial injustice? And they were very candid about that. What is your team identity? What do you look for in a player? What do you look for we covered all those things in an hour and 20 minutes, and it was so and the richness of it because they're high level officials in their schools and they're well respected people nationwide, and for them to give us their time, and it really like makes us want to ramp up our mission, and if you at some point we'll be glad to tell you what some of our phases are and some of the activities we got planned. I don't want people to think that we're just out here chasing clout because we got a plan and we're executing it.
Yeah. I mean, you can go ahead and talk about that.
Okay, so part of what we're doing in phase 1 is that what we're doing with the coaches panels is that this is professional development for coaches. So teachers have professional development, right? But yet a lot of times teachers complain about players to coaches, right? So administrators have professional development, but they just come to games and they don't understand the intricacies of coaching, right? Support staff, they get professional development, but they don't understand what the coach's role is with working with the student. Oftentimes they cry to coaches. Coaches are expected to fix everything. So why not provide professional development for coaches, right? That's one, and we're constantly doing that. We have an entire schedule of that. On June 24th, we're going to start our food campaign, and every once a week for about 5 weeks, we're going to in Lynn, in Fall River, in Boston, in Randolph, we're going to bring 10 families gift cards and food. Then we're going to have an event called Bring Your Kids to the Show Night, where we're going to have former professional players tell kids the truth. No, it's not all about the NBA. No, I got hurt. I had nothing left. No, it didn't work for me. I squandered money. Those are the real conversations that people need to have with kids. So as we approach school coming up, we're going to have we're going to collaborate with the Mitchell Hercule, the Ruby Hercule Foundation, and we're going to give out book bags and supplies. But not only are we giving out book bags and supplies, we're putting nutrition cards in there. Here's what you should eat. Here's workout. Okay, here's what you should do to work out. here's what you should have at the end of freshman year. You should have a transcript. You should know what your GPA is, the whole nine. We're not just putting supplies in bags and say, hey, go break your pencil. No, we're going to drop some gems and put it in there. One of our next panels is assistant coaches, right? And helping coaches understand the value of assistant coaches. And moving on to phase 2, we're going to try to get our coaches a high percentage off of taking the referee exam. So we want all of our coaches on the youth level or high school level to become referees. And then if they want to get an undergrad degree, we have some schools who are willing to partner with us to get them between 20 and 30% off degree completion. And if they want to get a master's, the same percentage off. So what we're doing is that we are wrapping our services around the whole student and the whole coach. And then we're gonna create data points where we say, hey, this is the formula. Because right now the most threatening, the thing that's threatening our kids the most is the fact that they can't afford basketball anymore. Everybody can hire anybody who's good at basketball right now. They don't get it from the mud like they used to, like how we got it. They could pay for trainers. They could pay for shooting coaches. Our kids don't have that. There's some people who will pay for their kids to take their SATs. So like, we want to provide those services, and we're just not talking. We got an entire calendar. Yeah, and I'm grateful for the folks who are with us. Like, Antonio and I, we just hit it off just like that. And I think he's a great coach. I think he's underrated as a coach still. As successful as people give me credit for, I don't got 2 Division I state titles. They blocked me from Division I. He just came. In 3 years, look what he did. Jamal Griffin, look what he's doing. Jonathan Mendelow, look what he's doing. We got Sean Brown from Becoming a Man. We got Will Dickinson from the mayor's office. We got Jason Harris, who's at UMass Boston, knocking off Division I schools. Those are the kind of people you want your kids around.
Yeah, definitely. You guys are definitely doing a great job. And lastly, I mean, Antonio, today's June 12th. A lot of your players are graduating today. I mean, as a coach, what's graduation day like when you're seeing? You both can speak on this. When you see your players are crossing that stage and they're ending their high school chapter and then knowing pretty soon they're going to start their college chapter.
It's a great day for the kids, man, and their families. I know it's virtual, but it's better than nothing. It's unfortunate with the pandemic that they had to go through this. But I told my players throughout the whole thing, man, like, make sure you're getting that work done, whether it's online or your packet, whatever it is you doing, you got to make sure it's done. You don't want to kind of start getting into bad habits going into the summer. Then when you get to college, you got to like start back over again. But I was happy, man. I texted them all this morning. Congratulations, I'm proud of you. The door at Lynn English is always open. They know that for sure. I'm sure I'll be seeing them throughout the summer with anything we got going on. So that group was a great group, some great leaders, and to send them all off going to college, and for them all to be minorities is awesome. Honestly, you know what I mean. Got 8 black kids going to college. And I tell them all the time they left their stamp on the program at that school, and they're always gonna have a place at Lynn English. So today was a good day for me. It's always is when kids graduate and they're headed on the right path. So I'm extremely happy for them.
Yeah. And Cory, can you just speak a little on that too?
When you don't lose them. They bug you more when they get to college, because that early struggle, especially if they're playing ball, and they initially hit you with the, oh man, it's not the same. Of course it's not the same. It's harder. Yeah. Everybody that you play with in college was their team's best player too. Yeah. So like you have to, work it through those early struggles. But there's nothing greater than watching kids graduate high school because it's a culmination of their journey. And then once they, this is going to happen to Antonio when he gets his kids to graduate college. See, like that's for me, that's the state championship right there. When a kid, when you can see a kid all the way through, when you're able to see something in a kid that they don't see in themselves, and then when they finally realize it, I don't even mind if kids go to college and quit basketball as long as they finish college.
Yeah.
because that's more of a contribution to their 40-year plan than their 4-year plan of being in school. No knock on basketball. This is not a basketball hating thing, but we understand that basketball is a very small piece of the long game. And for me, man, that's a magical day. And because Antonio Tone's my boy, I'm happy for his kids. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you know, if he it takes one call, and if I can support one of his kids, he knows he can call me. And that's the beauty of having a network. And oftentimes, politics and media are designed to destroy our networks.
Yeah, definitely. Now, if
not
anybody,
you though.
Hey man,
not you.
I take the bullets. I understand sometimes, you know, when you're in a profession and you got some bad apples, you get categorized in there. Right. It comes with the territory. If anybody wants to be involved in Urban Coaches Association or help out in any type of way, how can they do so?
You know what? Here's how we do our membership. If you show up, you're in. Right? If you show up, you're in. Right? If you have something to offer based on the schedule that we put together, if you come to one of our strategic planning meetings, you're in. Right? I just, you know, we just bought a bunch of T-shirts, and you know what? If we could buy 500 of them, we'll just pass them out everywhere. Kids love the gear.
Yeah.
Right? And honestly, when we talk to all these schools, we're gonna send them a nice little email and be like, "Hey, can we have your scraps? Because I wanna. Who doesn't want to flood the hood with HBCU T-shirts? Isn't that beautiful to go somewhere and a kid is proud to put on a Howard University T-shirt, a Norfolk State T-shirt, a Tuskegee T-shirt? Like, we're trying to get Tuskegee to come up to play UMass Boston. You know how historical that would be? Like, think about it, right? Like, it may happen, but depending on the COVID, that's the kind of stuff that we are working with. And, you know, like, and we have credible people with us, like Antonio, Jamal, like those are people, you know, Jonathan, those are people. I'm probably the worst human being out of the four of those guys, right? So like, I talk, those guys just stay there and be good looking, right? So like, and they once they start talking, everybody listens. So like, it's just a great dynamic, and you know, I'm looking forward to doing this every year and just building and expanding a network and you know, having more people's input, you know, because I don't want people to feel left out. If you want to be heard, come to a meeting. Mm-hmm. We put out a schedule on our Twitter, coaches_urban on Twitter. Check us out. Check out the folks that follow us. We had Lindsey Hunter on from the Detroit Pistons. You know, he offered his knowledge as well. Marissa Mosley, the BU women's coach. You know, she's active. So I love that. Hartford Public Schools. They're supposed to meet with us soon. So, you know, that's what we want. New York's already involved. So I think it's important to build a network, because one thing that we have in common that no one on the administrative level or no one in on the school level wants to admit the power of a basketball coach. And we understand how hard it is to get kids through. We know what it's like to give our last dollar to a kid for a meal, and we will. All of us have done it.
All right, hey, gentlemen, thank you very much. Well, we went about 40 minutes, which was a great conversation. This was good. Thank you guys once again. Cory, if you got any players that are gonna be playing on the next level, and you want them to get a little media attention to talk about it, you know, just contact me. I could sit down and have
I appreciate that. I think we got to bring recognition to kids. The funny thing is that, you know, like, you could stay at, you know, some kids go to prep school. I'm not hating on prep school. It's clear you can stay at a Lynn English.
Yes.
Stay at a Lynn English and go to college.
Yeah.
Coaches, people, the sophistication of how we communicate with the college level, people used to go to private schools to get noticed and get recognition, or now coaches are able to find you, right? I'll tell you, I'll give you one real quick story. No over time. I had a coach recruiting one of my players, and he came to my son's. My son was 10 at the time. He came to my son's flag football game. What the hell is he doing at my son's flag football game? He ain't recruiting my son. Yeah. He's recruiting me and my relationship with the player, and that's what's important.
Yeah, Antonio said this on Facebook a while ago. He said, if you're good enough, the coaches will find you. So it don't matter if you go to prep school or take another year. If you're good enough, coaches will find you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys once again for coming on. This was a great conversation. Continue to do the great work. Always, if you need any media, contact me. Antonio got my contact. You know, he's always helping me out. I'm always glad to help him out. So thank you guys once again. And you know, you guys continue to do the great work.
All right. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on. Tone, we'll talk.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
All right, guys. You guys have been watching Athletes Corner. I'm your host, McCarthy. Have a great day.